Hey, hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo, and I have a very special guest. This is Adel Shahan, and he is with Novati. They are an innovative payments company with a lot of experience, 20 years plus. They're in 59 countries. And listen to this, they are processing right now in value of transactions annually 2.3 billion. So as a public company with headquarters in Melbourne, they are one of the Australian gems right now in the payments industry. They are one of the first fintechs too to become a Visa card issuer, technically a principal issuing partner. And they recently, this is why he is on the channel, they have announced that they are using RippleNet technology and also using the digital asset XRP to move money. And currently that money is moving in the Philippines corridor, but we're going to ask him if there is possibly some expansion there. So welcome, Adel. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. Please let everyone know a little bit about what you are doing at Novati.
Sure. Thank you for having us, Iri, and it's great to be here. And it's really, really nice to talk to everyone. Just a quick introduction about myself. I've been in the payment space for about 7 or 8 years. And there hasn't all been at Novati. I've come back and forward. I worked at a few blockchain companies, both at the public blockchain level as well as at the app level. So I've got a little bit of blockchain experience myself. At Novati, I'm leading their marketing team. We're about 80 plus people right now, but we're hiring like crazy. So be sure to check out our LinkedIn if you're looking for a job. Of course, during this COVID time, we're all remote. So I'm actually talking to you here from Shanghai, so not too far from you. Yeah, thanks again for having us.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really curious. I was curious. You are in Shanghai, so but I can hear an Australian accent. So I think you have, yeah. And
actually, originally I'm from New Zealand, so
from New Zealand.
It is a bit close though, and we do take offense when you call us Australian sometimes. But thank you for picking up on the accent. I've lost most of it. I've lost most of my accent. I've become more globalized, I would say.
Yeah, that does happen, doesn't it? I have the problem where I've been out of the US for so long, certain words just don't come right to the brain right away, and you have to work hard.
I'm familiar with this one. Yeah. Definitely familiar with this one.
People, yeah, it's not always because of age. All right. So let's start off with the partners, because I have really been following since the announcement of being a RippleNet user. I've really been paying attention. You've had a lot of interesting announcements. You have some amazing partners, but what I want to know is what makes Ripple special for you?
Ripple, to be honest with you, Ripple has always been special to us. Like, we started looking at Ripple in 2014, a year before we kind of went public. So part of our prospectus, and I helped draft the market research aspect of it, was looking at kind of innovative companies and how are they changing the payment space. So for us, Ripple has always been kind of on our radar. And our approach, ever since we were young, like, we've always worked with partners, especially local partners, to try and establish kind of a more of a trust between us and whatever entity we're working with or whatever region we're working with. So yeah, Ripple is back then was very big, well, still now was very big in blockchain technology, and blockchain even in 2014 was making news everywhere. So we've always looked at different ways we can kind of incorporate blockchain. And then when they announced this RippleNet side of things, it kind of just made sense because they have more than 300 partners, again, around the world, and we also work around the world. So for us, it meant like it was a natural match, right? So we can use their network, we can join the network, we can use their cross-border to kind of mitigate some of the risks involved with cross transfer. And it also allowed us to do multiple transactions. I'm not sure how many of your followers are in Australia, but the banking system in Australia is, let's say, legacy. um, it's not as fast as it needs to be, and there's always risk and there's always fraud potential. So using different partners, especially global partners, helps us kind of calculate or mitigate some of those problems.
Yeah, that's important. And I'm really happy too that you're able to leverage those relationships within the RippleNet members too. And I think that continues to grow. So that just has
Definitely.
a big upside as the future
Mm.
unrolls. So when you look at the technology, because there's just lately a lot of adoption, digital technology
Definitely.
adoption. Yeah. What do you think the next big adoption is going to be?
Mm.
What's the next big phase?
So this is a really interesting question, especially in the payment space, because when we talk fintech, like, lending, borrowing always comes up, but payments is always the cornerstone of fintech. So it changes so quickly, but in terms of innovation, I don't think we need that much more innovation in payments. I
Uh,
think adoption is still a little bit lacking. So if we take Australia as an example, like coming from China, you see WeChat Pay and Alipay, and I'm sure Japan has a similar mobile payment infrastructure. Australia doesn't have much of that.
mm,
Actually, the big uptake in Australia that we saw recently, again, is not a new technology, is the buy now, pay later system. So this is just literally you buy something and then you divide that payment into 4 or 5 different payment dates. So this has been a massive uptake, and you might have seen our announcement recently about Afterpay's partnership. And Afterpay is one of the big players in this space, and they've recently moved into New Zealand. Um, so it's not about new technology in the payment space, it's about how to adopt existing technology. And I think if we're looking at trends and what's going to be the kind of a big thing in fintech in general, it's the data structuring, it's the back end stuff. We're seeing more countries, I'm sure you're aware, again, Japan and Singapore are doing this a lot, where they do more open banking, where the actual banking system becomes provides APIs for these fintechs. So it provides more space for anyone to kind of create an app or D app where they can work directly with the users, both on ramp and off ramp. So we're seeing a lot of this stuff, and Ripple is working in this space as well because they understand that they cannot do something without working with the banks, or they cannot do something without partnering with other people again. Um, so yeah, it's not so much about innovation in my perspective; it's more about the actual uptake of existing innovations, let's say.
yeah, that building off the backside data really allows you to create, I think, some deep relationships with the customer too.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And we'll see that a lot in loyalty, and we'll see that a lot in kind of optimizing how people spend and how they can save. There's really a lot of exciting apps in this space.
Yeah. So will Novati be using iRemit for other corridors, do you think? I know it's been announced that you're using this Philippine corridor. And let me just clarify, is it Australia to the Philippines? Or is it Philippines back to Australia, or is it both ways?
Both ways, both
Mhm.
ways. Definitely a very strong relationship. So the iRemit kind of client or announcement is more of a proof of concept
Mm.
because we're already working with them on cross-border, but all we were doing now is kind of taking some of their transactions and moving it onto Ripple. So it allows them to again mitigate that risk. If the one way that they're currently working on breaks down, they have multiple other ways. So we're still early stage, and we're still kind of playing around the kind of the processes and procedures that are taking place, but it's going great, and they're very happy with us, and they're very happy with the kind of the experience on RippleNet, and how quickly kind of everything goes through. But there are still a few things that we need to iron out before we can scale up to full size, because iRemit is by far one of the biggest kind of money transfers in Philippines. And again, I'm sure in Japan you see this a lot, but Filipino migrant workers are one of the biggest populations in the world. You'll see them a lot in Hong Kong, you'll see them a lot in Australia, you'll see them everywhere. So Philippine money transfer is really, really big space. So yeah, for us, we would love to open up more corridors, but in an existing relationship, let's get Philippines and Australia right first.
Yeah, well, that makes sense to iron out any sort of problems that,
Mm,
not necessarily problems, but just to really get familiar with the process so that when you do scale up, it's easy. Yeah, and so, okay, so
I agree. I agree.
if you are to like have a wish list of another corridor to
Mm,
go live, and granted, the Philippines is really a great corridor because there are so many people that come out of that country um, to work in other countries. But what would be another really, for especially in the Southeast Asian region, which I know is where you're really strong, um, or maybe it's maybe you prefer to go like the Middle East or Northern Africa. So I shouldn't assume, but if you could pick another place for ODL to go live, where would that be?
So this is really interesting. We do have strong clients everywhere, but with something like ODL, we don't want to offer it as kind of a standalone solution. We prefer where we have existing clients, we take some of their, let's say, uh, corridor transfer or whatever transactions we're pushing, and then push it onto ODL, because then it becomes a mitigation tool, and it also helps us to kind of improve our current offering. So let's say if we're sending money to, let's say Thailand, for instance, it could take us up to 3 days, right? When we switch over to ODL, it could take half an hour, right, or 1 hour. So our client sees such a massive improvement on our service. We see a reduced risk and another corridor to do things a little bit more cheaply, potentially more cheaply. Again, it depends on kind of the commercial agreements in place. But yeah, and in terms of an ideal country, we are very interested in Philippines. So this IRAMEC case has already caused so many inbound calls and so many potential companies or MTOs, money transfer operators, looking to test out the RippleNet kind of transfers as well. And we're also working with a lot of big guys in Thailand, which is quite interesting because their banking system is the one interested in this. So it's more the traditional finance guys that are interested in this. In terms of global interest, it becomes a little bit more tricky because what we're interested in might also not align with what we can do. We're
Hmm.
a public company, or compliance comes first in everything we do. So a lot of the time we need to do due diligence on these companies or these directors, and it becomes more difficult, especially if it's a jurisdiction we're not too familiar with. So the lowest hanging fruit is not always the biggest market we can tackle, is just the one that makes more sense for us as a compliant company. I hope that's helpful, but feel free
Yeah,
to reach out if you've got a question. We're more than happy to talk to everyone.
yeah, I would think that Thailand would be probably one that would possibly go ODL early because they seem to be adopting technology really, really fast. Singapore is another place that adopts it fast and also has a lot of the Philippine workers too. So yeah, I can just see
Mm.
that. I just no doubt there's going to be lots of opportunity for you in the Southeast Asian region. So what about, there was a big new product that Ripple launched. It's the line of credit that uses the digital asset XRP. It allows the users to secure upfront capital for their payments. Are you using anything like that now?
At this stage, no, but we do catch up with the Ripple team on a weekly basis. We just make sure everything is going well, and we kind of again just see what they've got offers, and then we can maybe add it onto our existing offering. So we are familiar with the line of credit. We just haven't really utilized it yet. Again, I think because we're in a proof of concept with our big client, until we're both happy with that relationship, we don't really want to complicate that relationship.
Mm.
So ODL is the first implementation, and then going forward will be these other add-ons. So yeah, honestly, I could not give you a timeline on that, but we are interested.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, it's one step at a time. So
Exactly.
projects, I am sure,
Mm.
I'm positive you have a lot of projects in the pipeline. What are some of the projects we'll see this year?
Oh, you will see a lot. Of course, I cannot announce too many projects and too many names. We're a public company. Everything goes on our ASX listing first. Investors need to have the same information as everyone else. But what I can talk about is things that are in the pipeline and we have mentioned. So you might have seen our announcement, I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. It was definitely early May, about us securing funding for a potential digital bank. Well, not a
Yeah,
potential digital bank, definitely a digital bank.
I saw.
So we've secured both the seed round funding as well as first round, so Series A round as well. And this bank utilizes a lot of the offerings that we already offer, or that we already have. Um, so I'm sure the ODL side of things will also be implemented into this bank because we are targeting migrant workers. But again, a lot of this we cannot talk too much detail about because it's all pending a license, a digital banking license from Australia. Um, so that's another big thing. In terms of the company itself, we're broken up. Well, I guess we're not broken up, but we're separated into different teams and divisions.
Mhm.
So we do a lot of different stuff. We'll be pushing a lot of traditional fintech services. Again, these are usually more B2B. So you can think of us kind of like a fintech enabler in a way. So you'll see companies like Afterpay, they'll come to us, they need a little bit of help in compliance or bin sponsorship. And that's where we fit in. We are compliant in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, UK. We have e-money licenses in a few places as well. So we help them become authorized reps and we help them kind of become legal in these spaces. And of course, we have platform and technology. So you mentioned earlier the Visa principal issuing. We are allowed to issue Visa cards. So if someone like Marqeta comes to us, we can help them issue Visa cards. And of course, we're seeing a lot of interest in the crypto space because, I mean, you know, crypto, right? They would love a Visa card to kind of come out and have an on-ramp or an off-ramp with fiat. It will make a big difference to the clientele. Really exciting thing that we're getting a lot of interest in, but we're like not even on the prototype stage. All we did was file a patent for as a crypto gateway. So this is under our acquiring team, and the gateway just allows users to, both in the e-commerce or really any online website, to log into whatever exchange they prefer and spend their crypto directly from that exchange in real time.
Convenient.
So it's very, very convenient, and it brings kind of a new use case to, let's say, coins that don't have much of a use case. So there's a lot of interest in that, both in the retail space as well as the financial guys. And we're very excited about it. But again, very early stage.
Hmm.
What else are we doing that's exciting? We are, maybe I cannot mention too much about this one, so we'll skip it.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we're doing some exciting things in Europe.
Yeah, well, I'll keep track and follow along. And so, you know, if I see anything new, I'll be most definitely updating at least my audience on the channel. So I
Sure.
look forward to seeing what it is you're up to.
Mm.
And then
For us,
finally, yeah, go ahead.
sorry for interrupting, but for us, like usually whatever makes sense is what we can, because we have a lot of different teams and a lot of different offerings. So what makes sense is usually an offer or a solution that can be cross-sold into other solutions.
Uh,
So for instance, we do a lot of subscription automation. You know, if you're linking up your invoicing system with your CRM, then for us, it makes a lot of sense to do something like a payment gateway.
right.
Then you can pay your invoices directly after this integration. So
Right.
for us, we try to have as much strategic direction as we can. because it makes it a lot easier for our clients to become like a out of the box offering.
Yeah, it's that synergy, where
Exactly.
if you can take 5 or 6 different product offerings that each complement each other and are used by the single user, you become very, very valuable, and that
Mm,
builds the loyalty too. Yeah.
definitely. We're not big, like we're still a small company. Our market cap, again, as a public company, I think is around maybe 70 million today, but I didn't check the
Yeah,
stock numbers.
I think
So yeah, when we're
you're-
working with companies like Visa or MasterCard or like in the billions, it helps to be useful, let's say.
yeah. Well, it's competitive. I mean, this is a really
Definitely.
competitive space. So, of course, every XRP holder hopes that the digital asset differentiates you, gives you a competitive advantage, and builds to your success. I mean, that's what every XRP holder really hopes for, and that's what we hope that you
Mm.
find that it is really, really beneficial for the Philippine corridor, and that you just go crazy with it. That's what we want to see. Yeah. So just in wrapping up, your final thoughts about the crypto space, because yeah, I don't know how because you have a blockchain background, I'm sure you do pay attention, but you're in a very, very exciting space where it's crypto and payments together. And there's a lot of different solutions popping up out there, especially with stable coins. I would just love to hear your
Mm.
thoughts on crypto and payments.
Of course, of course. Well, crypto, like, again, I'm not sure how long you've been in the space, but I'm sure it's been a while and you're very experienced in it. Can you guys hear the fireworks or just me?
Yeah, 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 yeah. As long as it's fireworks and not gunfire, that's good.
No, no, it's fireworks. I think so. I'm in a small town around
Is it
Shanghai.
a is it a special
Um,
holiday?
I think they're celebrating Eid, like the
Oh
Muslim
yeah,
holiday.
yeah.
The end of Ramadan was
That's
yesterday.
that just happened in the last 24 hours, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, I'm in a small town, like small suburb near Shanghai, so it's a big Muslim community here.
That's
Um,
probably what it
yeah,
is.
so I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that's what they're celebrating.
yeah.
It's
Well,
cool
it's
to see.
great. It's
Yeah,
big celebration. That's good.
exactly. Sorry, going back to crypto and
Yeah.
payments. I'm sure you're familiar. Cryptos has been used for payments probably since its inception. We all know about the pizza story.
Mhm.
So crypto is really, really interesting for me. We're seeing a lot of companies who are looking to facilitate payments. And if you're not using crypto or some level of crypto,
Mm.
you're not going to survive this space.
Interesting. Mm.
Well, I mean, we've already seen the big guys kind of incorporated. We saw PayPal accepted as buy and sell. There was already announcements from Microsoft, Expedia, WeWork. They all looking at crypto either in form of accepting it or a way to sell it.
Mm.
eToro would not be where it is today without their crypto side. We saw how much of a climb even meme coins got out of eToro's listing them. So it's really, really a good space to be in. And I'm glad for your followers that are kind of already looking at the future. There's another, what, 6 billion people that have no idea what crypto is or haven't used it themselves. Um, as a remote company, we also have people around the world. So we do have on the ground kind of perspectives.
Mm.
I personally host the crypto drinks in Shanghai, and we get about 30, 40 people on a weekly basis
Well, I had no
talking about
idea.
crypto.
Mhm.
So it's really a hot space everywhere around the world. DeFi is, of course, a very, very big thing for us, and we are looking at ways to implement it. But as I said earlier, a lot of this stuff is not about the technology. It's not about kind of adoption. It's about being compliant in how we do it.
Mm.
So we'd love to incorporate a lot of DeFi stuff or a lot of kind of borrowing and lending, or again, even using XRP, you need a level of compliance.
Mm.
Like we couldn't invest in XRP as a token because we would have to be registered with the ASX as a registered company. And again, we would have seen it with Tesla. I mean, they invested in Bitcoin, and I think even today they came out and said they're no longer interested in Bitcoin. It's things like that that, like, I can guarantee you the board would have come down and said, no, you can't do this, or no, this is not compliant from our perspective. We need to ditch it. So it's always about back to compliance. So companies like ours and companies that are public or even private to a degree, they are waiting for their compliance level. They're waiting to see what they can do. And we are not just waiting for the global compliance, we're waiting for the Australian compliance in particular, because we're listed with the Australian Exchange. So yeah, we're really seeing a lot of stuff. I'd love to see more traditional stuff go into crypto. So we like things like mobile payments. I'd love to see a WeChat Pay or an Alipay level mobile payment system that's widely adopted. Like a buy now, pay later system. Again, I told you this is very big in Australia. We haven't really seen any crypto adoption or crypto use cases for it yet. And it makes sense, right? A smart contract is the most obvious thing to do for a buy now, pay later system. We just haven't seen it yet. So there's really a lot of interesting spaces, and we do keep a close eye. We just can't move as fast as most people because of that compliance level and compliance stage. But yeah, I'm always happy to talk more about blockchain and payments because it's the two passions I've got.
Well, SBI does the Money Tap, which is the mobile app that runs on Ripple. So,
Nice.
yeah, if you were to explore that, maybe there is a possibility that a smart contract could be incorporated, because they also are, they're working closely with R3 too. So the R3 Ripple SBI threesome is super powerful. And then, you must know about Flare too, right? Flare Networks. Yeah. I just want to put in a plug for them for the DeFi side, because that's really full of a really great team and really wonderful people. So I
might get the info from you about SBI a little bit later, because traditionally everything we do is B2B. But as we launch this digital banking system, we are becoming more B2C or B2B2C. So things like that are really interesting for us. We will assess different kind of platforms that we can integrate into. Because for us, we don't believe in like reinventing the wheel. If someone's already doing it, why not partner with them? Why not white label them? It makes things so much easier.
Yeah, well, Mr. Kitao does white label that app, so that would be seems to really make sense. And it's way beyond the concept phase. It's actually operational, and it has the capability also to work with XRP, so you could do domestic and you could also take it to a cross-border solution too. Listen to me, I sound like I'm working for SBI, but I admire the company, and I admire Mr. Kitao, who's really moved aggressively in this space and really believes in the technology. So yeah, he's always got my big respect. But Adele, I just think, I don't know, I just have this feeling Novati's going to be very, very successful. And I think that there's going to be a lot of great announcements in the future with Novati and the use of Ripple, and also the digital asset XRP, which stands on its own without any help.
Of course, like I said, we're still a small company, so we moved the dial maybe this much.
Yeah, I don't think, well, I think you moved it quite a bit, and I think you're doing a great job. And I just want to say, as an XRP holder, thanks for giving it a try. And I'm glad that you are thinking outside the box. And yeah, I do believe it's going to help bring the company great success. So I do want to see it. And then maybe at the end of the year, when we have seen maybe another corridor go live and we've got a little bit more clarity within the regulatory structure within lots of countries around the world, I'd love to get back and catch up with you again sometime at the end of the year or sometime in 2022.
Yeah, sure. Maybe in person even. But
Yeah.
yeah, more than happy to share our learnings and kind of our experience. And again, I'm just here to give you an honest view.
Mm.
Everything we do, again, if it's major or material, we do make an announcement about it. So feel free to kind of keep an eye on our socials and
Yeah.
wherever else you get your news.
Yeah, I do. I'm a good researcher, so I can usually find whatever it is you've put out there, at least for public. Um,
Of course.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. Any last wrap up comments? Because this is really special for me to have you here. I want to just say thank you so much, and maybe just any final words that you might have.
No, really, thank you for having us. It's really a big opportunity for us as well. We don't get an opportunity to talk to the crypto crowd directly. Usually it's more traditional investors and even more so Australian traditional investors because that's where we are. So it's really a great platform and good job for what you're doing. Honestly, for me, any kind of work in the crypto space doesn't really matter if you're promoting, Bitcoin Cash or XRP or really any kind of coin. It's creating a lot more information and transparency in this space, and it's good for everyone. The more people can learn, or the more people have an option to kind of research themselves, the better. Like I said, most of the world has never used crypto, and things like this hopefully will encourage them to try it out at least, see how is it different from your actual world. For me, again, living in Shanghai, I've become almost fully crypto. It's just so much easier to move money from here to New Zealand to Australia to Europe, where I pay some of my freelancers as well. So crypto has literally changed my life in terms of usage. It's really crazy, and really looking forward to the future.
Yeah, wonderful comments. I really thought that was just great. It's nice too for me to talk to someone who is not in crypto, but knows so much about it. So it's really wonderful to have you as a guest. And I just wish you the very, very best.
You too. We'll definitely catch up soon.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.